fold it from like the ends that you're grabbing so the tassels are still touching or sort of together. Great, and then you have this long-ish rectangle, and we'll turn it sideways from there and roll it from this angle. So take your time if you'd like. Anybody OCD or just feels nice, you can get all the wrinkles out. You could roll, smooth it out, roll, smooth it out. Take your time. All right, so getting our towel or blanket roll set up for class, 2 blocks and a ball. Mine may have rolled, nope, right here, okay. Okay, cool. So if you like being on your back with no support under your neck, then you don't need to use this, but we're gonna roll our glutes right away with the ball. This can be nice underneath your neck. So if you rolled it up and you lay back and you're like, it's just too big, just unroll it a little bit. And it's kind of nice to have the upper portion then be behind your head. So there's a little cushion behind your head and then a little support behind your neck. Everybody's blanket's a little bit different size. You can use that behind your neck. You don't have to, but we'll make sure that we have our ball nearby, and we'll be in what's called bridge prep. So this posture is kind of what we come to in a lot of different transitional shapes or just sort of series. I'll get the lights a little bit lower here in a moment. But let's just start with either stillness or movement in this shape. So maybe arms out, feet down if you'd like to rock those feet a little bit, which will then rock the thighs, which will then rock the hips, which will then rock the spine, right? Everything's connected here. Just using this opportunity to gather some information about how you're feeling, what you're feeling. Take a few deep breaths. I'm going to kick the lights for you. So we're all on our back, so try to drop into the physical back body. So notice if you're sort of resisting the earth anywhere with those places that you're making contact. Great, let's take 3 more deep breaths. We want this to be comfortable, so if you did use that blanket roll or didn't and you're not super happy with your decision, please adjust. And try to soften the sort of mechanics around breathing while still breathing deeply. So you're not sort of constricting the back of your throat or anything. We're not knitting in at the navel. We're just letting that belly rise and fall as we breathe. And then with that new sort of awareness, maybe take just a couple more breaths. Okay, relax to the features of your face. Relax the front of your throat. Take one more nice full inhale. Full complete exhale. All right, we're gonna start with that right side hip and glute. So when you're ready, just allow your legs and hips to kind of drop over to the left so that you can sort of lift through the right glute. You're gonna take the ball into your right hand and place it where you would sort of visualize the center bullseye of your right glute. So just kind of hold it there until you lower back onto it, releasing when it feels available. Take that arm back out to a T. And you're going to lift your knees straight up to the sky. So for some of us, you might be like, I don't really feel anything. That's okay. We're going to invite some different movement here. I want you to play around with moving through your right foot. So you're going to toe heel your right foot out wide, keep walking it out, and then play around with allowing the right leg to kind of drop out. If you're like, oh yeah, there it is, then you can stay. You could play around with dropping both legs over. If you're still kind of like, it feels like it's really close to something I should be addressing, you could drop those knees back over to the left, roll it up just about an inch. But we should be in a pretty good spot, especially once you toe heel that right foot around, which then moves the thigh around sort of like a joystick. And you're probably nuzzling into something. So if it feels like it hit into a bone, that's kind of what we're seeking, but you don't have to, especially if you landed right away somewhere. But for now, we will keep our feet down. And we're not trying to engage the glutes at all. We're not trying to engage where the ball is. We want to soften those muscles, soften the tissues, both deep and superficially. Try to take your hands wherever it's most comfortable. Try to breathe nice and easy, full breaths in, slow, steady exhales out. It's kind of a real lazy practice, but it can be really effective for these tissues. We'll take about 10 more breaths here. Notice if you're tensing somewhere completely away from the ball. Maybe you're gritting your teeth or squeezing your hands. It's typically that place that you stress out or your go-to place of tension in your physical body. Just tapping in, trying to soften. We'll take 2 more deep breaths. Doing our best to just loosen that grip with our exhales. We're going to move nice and slow coming out of this. So start with the left leg, lift that up if it dropped it all to the right, then start to lift the right leg when it feels available. Knock those knees over to the left to find the ball. Take your arms out to a T. And we're just going to rock side to side with those thighs again, trying to get a little idea of any side to side differences. Maybe it feels obvious, maybe it doesn't. Just being sort of aware without judging it if you can. Great. Next time you knock those knees over to the left, we're going to stay here. And then we're going to place the ball again in our right hands. Take it to the center of your right glute. This time we're going to roll upward about 2 inches and then out about 2 inches. So we're hoping to hit a little bit more of the glute minimus versus the deep 6 or the glute max. So again, just lifting up. For some people, this feels really tight. So you're just going to stay right here with your knee pointing up. Otherwise, you can play around with toe healing, the toes out, heels out, dropping that thigh. For me, I dropped right into like a really tight pocket, so I'm going to stay. Otherwise, just keep playing around with moving that foot all around. You could lean into it a little bit by drawing the left thigh over. If you want to try lifting the left glute entirely so that you're fully on the ball, you can do that. We do want to be relaxed though, so notice if it tensed out those muscles where the ball is. Notice if it tensed out your body anywhere away from where the ball is. So there's not much fancy technique other than compression here, but it can be really helpful. So trying our best to just slow down the breathing, softening with our exhales. Okay, we're going to take 6 more deep breaths. Two more breaths. Try to inhale just a little bit deeper. Exhale a little bit deeper than that, just like a beat longer. And then again, we'll try to start lifting with our next inhale. Let the left leg find lift first, and then it kind of lazily drags that right leg with it. Heading over to the left, nice and slow in order to find that ball and remove it again. Landing in stillness or a little bit of gentle windshield wipering, but now we are going to stretch that area. So we'll take our arms out to a T, and we're going to come into sort of a lazy version of a figure 4. So you can walk your feet and legs all the way together. Cross your right, either pinky edge of your foot, your ankle, your shin, your heel over onto that left thigh or knee. You can keep your left foot down and just kind of actively draw the outer right knee towards the top right corner of your mat. That's option 1. Option 2 is relax out of that if you're drawing the knee forward, lifting your left foot, and then your left thigh is kind of pulling the inner right thigh closer to you. So that's an option. So you have control on how big or little of a stretch this is. You can also just sort of ebb and flow in and out of it. Option 3, which is going to hit those lateral hips, definitely that spot we were just rolling on, that secondary option, is leaning a little bit to the left. So you kind of inhale, lean a little bit to the left, just a couple inches. Exhale, just rock back to your neutral hip and back. So possibly leaning a little to the left. Exhale, come out. So you decide what this looks like, but I want you to relax the back of your head nice and heavy. Relax the features of your face. Just keep breathing here. We're just trying to let these tissues know that we're just compressing, that, hey, we also would love to stretch and lengthen a little bit in this area if at all possible. Great job. Just a couple more breaths. Great job. And then if you're in a crisscross position, still that figure four, slowly uncross. Let's take our legs up to the sky. Point and flex and roll around into your ankles. Go ahead and either let the ball sort of sneak it underneath the side mat, or if you want to just put it down, if it rolls away, I'll find it for you. Keep rolling through your ankles, maybe scrunch your toes and fan them out. And then we're going to reach our arms up to the sky and add that to the mix. Spread your fingers, make fists, roll around in all directions. Great job. And then we're going to gently pause, relax your feet a bit. Knees can be as bent as you need for that back line. We're going to place our thumbs into the center of our palms and then close your fingers over it. And then start to draw your knuckles forward and then down. We want a stretch on the hairy part of your forearm. Hopefully you can feel what I'm talking about. Relax your face and start to flex your feet like you're standing on the ceiling and push your heels up. So you can have straight legs or you can have a bend to your knee, but as you're actively drawing those heels up, drawing your knuckles down, relax your face and take 3 more deep breaths. Great, one more big full inhale. As you exhale, kind of release your thumbs, recoil out and shake a little bit. And then your choice, either sort of a happy baby, which is sort of looks like you're squatting on the ceiling, you can grab on or not, or a little bit more like butterfly on your back, heels kind of dropping towards your bum. Again, you could reach down and grab onto something or not. Take about 5 breaths, just noticing side to side, top to bottom, front to back. Great, one more breath wherever you are. Exhale to come out, dropping your feet back down to that bridge prep position, that first spot we were, stillness, or feel free to windshield wiper a little bit. All right, we're going to take our feet wider than our sit bones. So if you kind of visualize the center of your glute and you drew a straight line to the top of your mat, you want to just toe heel out a little bit wider. We're going to drop our thighs to the left, but don't force and like rock all the way to your left hip. We just want to let them drop until they can't go anymore. And then I want you to visualize the front of your right knee, lengthen it towards the top left corner of your mat. So now your right glute is probably lifting up. And hopefully you're getting a nice stretch to that fascial portion of your right hip flexor, that front hip, and that whole thigh should hopefully be feeling like it's pulling. Don't force the range of motion if it doesn't feel good. Maybe arms out to a T, palms up. I'd love you to breathe nice and deep to your belly. So full inhales, belly expands. Big exhales, belly deflates. Great. 4 more deep breaths like this. Relax your face. Back of the head is nice and heavy. Great. One more time. Big full inhale. Full complete exhale. And then just kind of slowly allow that right back glute and hip to peel back down to the earth so you're not reaching anymore through that right knee. And then slowly lift your thighs, lift your knees. If your feet are kind of wonky, sort of parallel them up. Stillness or a little rocking side to side. Great, we're going to take one more little bit here. We'll do a hip flexor reset. So a lot of us sit all day long and we shorten that hip flexor on the front, but maybe you were just feeling stretched there. So this is going to sound super complicated, but I promise it's not as complicated as it sounds. So we'll get through this together. You're going to lift one foot and then the other, and you're going to draw your knees in towards you. It doesn't matter how far in, but I would like you to reach up and try to cup your knees with your hands. So right hand cupping right knee, left hand cupping left knee. So the idea is that if you visualize this sort of hip flexor, we were just stretching on the right side, we're going to try to engage that and we're going to try to pull our thigh towards us, but our right hand is going to hold us right there. So your right thigh is pulling towards you, but visually, if I looked at you, I couldn't see any difference. Go ahead and relax your feet. If you guys are in a 90-degree angle, relax your feet, let your heels drop into your butt. So heels drop into your butt, don't hold your legs up. There you go. And then the left leg is going to start pulling away. Great. So just practicing that a little bit. Right thigh forward, left thigh away. Holding them in place. So from the outside, I couldn't really tell the difference. Relax the back of your skull. Great. Take a big breath in. Exhale, relax. And keep your hands there or release for a second. Stillness or rock a little bit side to side. We're going to do that for 2 rounds, and I'm going to count down from about 10. So when you're ready, go ahead and cup your knees. Remember, feet are relaxed, shins are relaxed, heels are dropping in towards our butt. The right thigh is drawing towards you. The left one is away. Relax your face, breathe. Breathe as you do this. Pull your right leg towards you. Pull your left leg away. Breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2. One more inhale, give it some go. Exhale, soften. Again, release your hands or keep them where they are. Stillness or rock a tiny bit. We'll take one more round. Great job. Lining up, cupping those knees. Right thigh, hug it towards you, but hold it in place. Left thigh, pull it away. This isn't 100% effort, but you are trying to put some effort into this. Breathe, breathe, breathe. 5, 4, got to keep breathing. 3, 2, one more inhale with effort. Exhale, relax. Arms to a T, palms up, drop those feet. Constructive rest. Feet walk the width of your mat. Let your knees drop in towards one another. They don't need to touch. Take 10 deep breaths here. Great job. One more big breath in when you're ready, and a big breath out. Great, we're going to do all of that stuff on the other side. So when you're ready, lift those knees, walk your feet in a little bit. Find our ball, place it in your left hand. I'm just sitting up in case anybody's rolled away. I'm going to get it for you. Cool. All right. And then we're going to drop those knees and thighs over to the right in order to lift the left glute up. Place it again about bullseye of the left glute. So wherever you think sort of that center of the glute would be. And this side is a completely different experience, at least for me. So just noticing you. Remember, we don't have to do the exact same thing we did on the other side. So for example, I'm just staying with my knees totally up. If you would like, this is where you can play around with toe healing your foot all around. So out to the side wider, a little bit more forward, a little bit heel to butt. And then you can play around with dropping that thigh out. You could drop the right thigh further to the left. Sensation gives us feedback, but we don't need to have the most sensation in order for this to be a helpful practice. So trying not to force anything. If it's too much or you can't breathe easily through it, back off, move the ball. If you've got a tennis ball or any of these myofascial balls, you can do this in any one area for 2 minutes every single day. It can be really helpful. Nothing terrible happens after 2 minutes. It's just, we're doing it. A big main reason to do this is for hydration, and the benefit sort of taps out at 2 minutes. So no need, I guess, to do it any longer than 2 minutes. But if it feels good or helpful longer, feel free. For sake of time, we're hanging out for about 1.5 minutes in both of these spots. Take 6 more deep breaths. Softening through the features of your face, that space between your eyes. Relax your bottom jaw. One more big breath in. Full breath out. Again, try to lead with that right leg. If it dropped at all to the left, lift it up and then over, and then it might help to pull that left leg up. Taking those legs far to the right in order to find the ball for a moment. Taking that arm out to a T. You can windshield wiper or just lift those knees up. That constructive rest pose is nice for lower back stuff. So if you ever sort of get spasmy or uncomfortable at the SI joint around those dimples, that can just be a good spot, just FYI, or a good posture rather to do. All right, just a few more breaths and then we're gonna hit that second spot. So when you do feel ready to transition there, knees, thighs over to the right to lift the left glute. Again, let's just find sort of the dead center of the glute, head up about 2 inches, just higher, and then out lateral about 2 inches. So you're sort of in that squishy pocket on the upper outer corner of the glute. So as always, just explore through subtle and slow movement, because just moving a centimeter with this kind of work is usually like, oh, that's enough, right? So support yourself however it makes sense, exploring through breathing, exploring by being patient and not running out of the room screaming, backing off if it's not easy to breathe. That was a joke, by the way. So if everybody's still alive, tap into those nice full exhales. Remember to check in with places like your go-to place for tension, your jaw, upper shoulders, your belly, your face. We don't really want to be engaging any muscles here. We're softening and just tapping into our breath. Okay, let's take 10 final breaths. Three more deep breaths. And at the bottom of your next exhale, allowing that right hip to drop, the right leg will lead you up and over. Slowly, slowly coming out of this. Don't rush yourself. Just kind of pulling heavily over. Great. Grab the ball with your left hand. Take that arm out to a T. Stillness, or it might be nice to slowly rock those legs side to side. And just with the information that you're gathering, is that more intense or less intense than the other side? Does it feel like it's caught up now, or does it feel better because you just did it? Right? Just being curious versus having to understand everything. Right now, let's take this into a little bit of a stretch. So there's a few options. So we'll find some stillness or lift the knees up rather, and then walk your legs closer together and cross whatever feels available. The heel, pinky edge, ankle, or shin onto right knee or thigh. And for some of us, this is enough. You could have a relaxed left foot or a flexed left foot, and you can think about drawing that outer left knee up and towards the top left corner of your mat. So that's option one. Option two, relax that effort if you sort of did that, lifting your right foot. And then when you do that, it's not about, again, the right foot being super active and that knee being at 90 degrees. It's more about how much you're just going to pull that right thigh to you, because then it's going to pull the inner left thigh to you. So maybe you inhale, draw it to you, exhale, recoil. Otherwise, if you can kind of lift it up to a degree that feels okay, you can inhale and rock a little bit to the right, pulling that lateral hip. Exhale, recoil back to a neutral back and hip. So doing whatever makes sense to you. About 10 more breaths you might not know until you try 1, 2, all 3 out, but definitely don't force anything. Back of the head is heavy, face is relaxed, easy breathing as much as you can. Good job. One more full inhale, full exhale. And just start to slowly unbind, unwind. You can release the ball wherever you'd like. Let's take the legs up to the sky again. Feel free to add your arms or not, but point and flex and roll around into ankles, wrists if you'd like. Great, and coming back down to that original bridge prep position. So remember, knees bent, feet down. And we're gonna walk them wider than hip distance, so just inside the width of your mat or so. And then we're dropping the thighs a little bit to the right, but we want to think about once it stops, once that left leg can't drop in anymore, start to lengthen the front of the left knee towards the top right corner of your mat. So that left hip starts to reach out in a way that left glute probably lifts up. We're trying to feel that nice pull on that whole fascial casing around the right thigh. I want you to consider your whole body. So relax your hands, your face, breathe deeply to your belly, let it expand. Exhale, slowly deflate. Let's take 6 more breaths like this. Great, one more time, a nice full expansive inhale at that low belly. Exhale everything out, start to release that sort of reaching through the knee, allow the lower back and left glute to sit back to the earth. Lift that left knee, stillness, windshield wiper, or constructive rest for just a couple breaths. Great, when you're ready, knees will point up, and then we're gonna draw one thigh in, followed by the other. Remember, shins are relaxed, feet are relaxed. So we're just kind of letting those heels drop in towards our butt. And then you're gonna cup your knees with your hands, right on right, left on left. But we're gonna do the opposite this time. So that first round, I'm gonna just keep talking as you try to start and figure it out. So we're doing 2 things with our limbs differently. So we're making our brain work, which is good too. So left thigh's hugging towards you. Again, from the outside, it shouldn't look like it's moving though, because your left hand's just gonna cup it and keep it. Right hand is cupping the right leg, and it's gonna try to pull away. So right leg pulling away, left leg pulling towards. So kind of play around with that. It's okay if you mess up, just relax out and start again. Left thigh towards you, right thigh away, not 100% effort. Relax the back of your skull. Take one more inhale doing it. Exhale to come out. Remember, you can release or keep your hands there, soften, stillness, or rock a little bit. We've got 2 more rounds, about 10 seconds each. Right, so cupping the knees, left thigh, pull it towards you. The heel of your left palm pretty much is keeping you. Right thigh starts to pull away, fingertips kind of hold you. Left leg pulling towards right thigh, pulling away. Relax your face, breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2. One more inhale, give it some go. Exhale, soften. Soften everything for at least 2 more breaths. And 1 more round here. So cupping, left thigh, pull it towards you. Think about that. Hip flexor doing the work, and right thigh pulls away. Breathe, breathe, breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2. Biggest breath you got. Fill up. Exhale, soften out. Right, arms out to a T, palms up. Just let those thighs drop in towards you. If that feels like a lot of work, just drop your feet to the earth. Great, and then let's go ahead and drop our feet to the earth if they're not already. Go ahead and slide one leg out kind of lazily, followed by the other. So we've been in hip flexion a lot. So this is a little bit more neutral. If you want, slide the arms above you, full body stretch, take a few breaths, point and flex if you'd like, or just kind of lengthen out. If you have any neck, cervical spine issues, and you found that the blanket behind your neck is really helpful, feel free to keep it there. And you can use your blocks to support you in sort of a butterfly squat thing that we're gonna do. Otherwise, you're gonna remove it from the back of your neck, and we're gonna use that to catch our ankles for supported butterfly, and we're gonna use our blocks to support our arms. So I'll talk us through this. So Again, keep the blanket where it is and you'll use blocks instead of the blanket. Otherwise, go ahead and drop your feet. Oh no, you'll have to pull your thighs into your chest. You're going to take the blanket roll, lift it up and over your knees and thighs, and kind of take it to the tops of your ankles. So you're kind of pulling it in towards your hips, and then drop your feet down, and then let your oh my word, my thighs, your thighs drop out to the side. Your feet do not need to be touching one another. They can kind of toe heel out wider. You could also rock a little bit side to side and keep pulling on the ends of the blanket. Maybe it nuzzles into the outer hip. That might feel nice. But this should keep you from going to full end range butterfly, and it can help stretch the inner thighs a little bit more effectively. Options with the arms. If you'd like to use your blocks, you can use your blocks and take cactus arms. So the blocks are going to go on the lowest height. You're going to have to figure out at what angle. So don't get frustrated. It'll take a second. But cactus arms means like goalpost position. So I'm going to kind of place them and see if it's a good spot, but sort of catching me at the back of the tricep bicep area. And then my wrist is just dropping off of them. So if you have a towel or blanket behind your head, you would just use the blocks underneath your thighs instead. Try to take your time to set this up. I want it to be sustainable and comfortable for you. If you've kind of tapped in and taken 5 breaths or so and you're like, oh, this just isn't working for me, then just ditch the blocks or ditch the blanket, ditch what's not working for you. We are going to be here for about 3 minutes. So this idea of sustainability, not I can do this, I'm going to grit through it, right? That's not necessarily why you showed up this evening. Hopefully you're taking some time to maybe do less. Notice if you're resisting any of your props. Notice if any of the tissues around your hips, glutes, inner thighs are sort of like engaging or sort of gripping like a fist. And by simply noticing, can they maybe soften a little bit with your next exhale, and continue to do so with your awareness and breath. Just over halfway, take a deep, full breath in. Complete breath out. Take 6 final breaths here. And then deep breath in and a full breath out. Start to wiggle your fingers and your thumb. And whether you're on the blocks or not, just kind of decide which arm you're going to move first and lazily kind of lift and or just drag it if it's not on a block down by your side and take your right hand onto your belly. And then do that slowly with the left. Just kind of absorb that as you come out of that first. And if it feels like it would be helpful or nice to take your hands to your outer thighs and slowly help lift them up, do that. Otherwise, just move really slow out of this in your lower body. Go ahead and grab the blanket with your right hand and draw it over to the right side. We'll be using it in a moment. Stillness, stretch out, hug in, constructive rest if you're having any lower back discomfort. Relax your belly, relax the features of your face. Take 6 more breaths. Okay, we're gonna roll over to our right side, and I'm gonna kind of check everybody out and see what happens when everybody rolls to the right side. Okay, so my friends that are totally not looking at me, you might want to flip to the other side of your mat so that you're kind of facing me, but still on your right side. So you're probably going to take your head to the other side, or just listen to my cues and do the total opposite. So we're going to use our blanket. We're going to do some IT work, IT band stuff. All right. So we do need our blankets. And I'm on my right side, so I'm going to take the blanket perpendicular with my right outer thigh. If you're on your left side, you're going to do that on the left side, right? So nothing super fancy. And I'm going to take it about halfway up my thigh on this side, all right? And then I'm going to be up on my forearm, but I'm going to try to support my head. So I'm going to lower down and then support my head. So we call this Cleopatra pose. So my knees are bent. I'm supporting my head. If you don't like being on your wrist or can't because it doesn't feel good, you can lower down to that right bicep, but try it from here just for the time being. So hopefully you feel the intensity of your thigh pushing into the blanket. So what we want is, I hear the phrase, I have tight IT bands, and there's nothing wrong with that, but technically we want a tight IT band. What we don't want is our thighs and our hamstrings to affix to the IT band, which is what happens. And then there's tightness with the fascia all around it. So we're going to stay here in compression. That's option 1. If the left leg on top of the right leg, it just feels like too much pressure and it's too intense, you can lift that left leg off. So you can take it behind or in front, right? So it's just less pressure, all right? If you're okay with that pressure. Option 1, stay here and breathe this whole time I'm talking. Option 2, you're going to mimic walking. So how would we do that? We would do that by extending our right knee and bending our left, and then doing the opposite. So what this is doing is asking our thighs to do what we do when we're walking. And what we want to have in a sort of healthy area of this IT band is that the quad is going in one direction as the hamstring goes in the opposite. But what happens is they get stuck and they're trying to pull in the same direction. So this is mimicking walking, and it can help sort of pull away those fascial connections. So this can be really intense. It's just a blanket, right? But it could feel like it's a knife at times. This is really dense muscles. Everybody's thighs are always like their most intense muscle group typically. So try to relax your jaw, try to take some big deep breaths. If you found a knot and you're like with your knee extended and you're like, ooh, I just need to stay here, just stay in stillness and kind of hang out on that weird spot, right? But whatever you're doing, we're going to take 6 more deep breaths. All right, one more time. Big full inhale, big full exhale. If you're sort of in a weird wonky position like I am, go ahead and find some stillness for a moment. We're going to roll back just enough to take your left leg and right leg up, and then we're just going to pull the blanket like an inch higher. So you're probably going to be hitting some of the same tissues. We're going to stay in this whole like meaty section of the center of the thighs though. If you tend to have a little bit more hamstring issues, you're going to be a little bit more rolling backward. If the quad is what definitely was feeling tight too, then you're going to stay where you are, find a little bit more pitch forward. But same thing, let's just hang out in compression for a moment, trying to just relax the muscle. I know mine's fighting the blanket right now. Try to breathe through it. If it's just too much, move it to a different area. Again, if this is troublesome on your wrist, feel free to lower down on a block or down to your bicep. Great, and then stay in stillness. Remember, you could take the weight of the left leg off, or you could play around with doing really slow moonwalking. It's so terrible. Sorry to do this to you, but it's really important. Again, if you just found a knot right away and just want to just be like, all right, I just need to give it some attention. And then other days it's like, yeah, I just need to bypass this, right? So you decide. Great, let's take 6 more deep breaths, stillness or movement, or mix it up. Great, if you're moving around, find stillness. Let's all take 1 more inhale, 1 more exhale. Great, we're gonna use our left hand. We're gonna just gently kind of push to the mat in front of us and roll ourselves to our back. Kind of leave the blanket there. We're gonna use it in a different capacity. So you're gonna roll onto your back, and then your knees are gonna be bent, bridge prep 1 more time. We're gonna have the blanket between our heels and our bums, and then we're gonna push through our heels, grab that blanket, and then put it underneath our hips. So we don't want it in the sway of our lower back. We just want it where it's across the hip bones and the sacrum. So if it feels like it's just filling out the lower back, just go a little bit lower. For now, we're just going to hang out for a second. Take your hands wherever it's comfortable. Notice all that sensation in your right leg, the right upper leg. Maybe it's warm water, maybe it's cool water, maybe there's tingling going on. It's our body telling it to pay attention to this area when we lay on a blanket and do those just subtle techniques, right? So giving your body a moment to absorb and pay attention to it. Okay, we're going to try to stretch to the front right hip flexor just a little bit more specifically. When you're ready, you're just going to slide your right leg out the width of your sort of mat. And you can push and reach your heel for a second, but we do want to relax everything. So try to maybe label off. Notice your right glute, relax your glute. Notice the top thigh, relax your thigh. Notice your knee, if it's kind of extended, relax it. Your calf, your ankle, your foot. Breathe deeply to your belly. We want this to fill up, especially near that lower right groin. Option 2, stay right here, especially if it feels like it's sort of gently pulling in that area. Option 2, toe heel the left foot out wide and then just let that left thigh drop out. Hopefully these tissues are primed, but also it kind of angles that hip flexor slightly different. Option 3, walk that foot in, lift it up, hugging the thigh in towards you, either just literally pulling it in or literally with your hands pulling it in. Our hip sockets are a ball and socket, so it's like a joystick. So you could play around if your left foot was up with like angling the thigh in a different way and seeing if that does anything for you. But back of the head is heavy, back of the shoulders are heavy, face is relaxed, front of your throat is relaxed, belly is relaxed. Big full inhales, big full exhales. Let's take 3 more breaths wherever you are. And one more time, a nice big breath in as you exhale. If you lifted that left leg up, gently release it, allow the left foot to come down. If you walked your left foot out wide, lift that thigh up. we'll push through our left heel to just drag that right leg in nice and lazy. Right, when you feel ready, push through both heels, lift your hips up, slide that blanket over to the opposite side that you already did, and then roll on down with those hips. Stillness, windshield wiper, constructive rest, stretch it out. Just take a moment. Great, and then we're gonna do that on the other side, if you can imagine. All right, perfect amount of time. So rolling to either your left or right. Again, you can come up onto your sort of elbow form and support your head, or you could stay on your bicep. We're gonna have is perpendicular the right word? I feel like when I say it, it doesn't make sense to me. You want it perpendicular with your thigh, like X marks the spot. Think sort of middle of that upper leg bone. Remember, we're dropping into compression. Holy buckets. Dropping into compression here. This side is so much worse than the other side. I might have to stop talking. So right leg can lift, it can come off. You can just kind of navigate however it makes sense to you. Less body weight. You could have a little bit more squishy towel. You could unroll it if it's really sort of tight. You could roll it tighter if you want more intensity. Stay in stillness, play around with it, or remember you can play around with that moonwalking. I always do both legs. Really, the thing that we're trying to get is the bottom leg. So if you're like, I don't want to move the top one either, you don't have to, but it's up to you. Again, if you sort of found that as soon as you started extending, you're like, oh, there's sort of a knot that I just want to hang out on, you can do that. Remember, we're sort of mimicking the hamstring and the quad. They're doing opposite things when we walk. But what they tend to do is get really bogged down fascially onto that IT band. And so this can help sort of break up some of those connections, tells the body to pay attention, which hydrates. Hydration helps strengthen. If this is troublesome on your wrist, remember you could lower down to a block or your bicep. Let's take about 10 more breaths here. Just being curious, doing weird things on blankets, telling our body to pay attention. Great job. If you've been moving, maybe find a little bit of stillness. We'll take 2 more breaths here on this spot. Great, and then however it makes sense for you. Again, I just kind of lean back a little bit to lift the right and then the left leg, because my left leg's lower on the blanket. And then just pull it up just a tiny bit. We just want to go up a little tiny bit. Coming back down. Again, you can lean a little bit more forward, pitched for the thigh, a little bit rotating backward for the hamstring. Some compression to start. Try to take those nice full exhales. See if this spot's sustainable. Maybe this spot is just about hanging out and breathing. Or again, feel free to play around with the movement, but just don't force anything. Sometimes we can create more adhesions, like poking a bear. So that's why that whole concept of like no pain, no gain, that's not what we're seeking, even though this might be quite uncomfortable. I get that. All right, maybe close your eyes, just notice your breath. Take 10 more inhales, 10 more exhales. If you've been moving around, maybe come back to a place of stillness. Take 2 more deep, full breaths. And then using that right hand again, if you're up on your palm, maybe release your head, and then press yourself slow motion to your back. We'll use that blanket, but let's keep it between our hips and our heels. So kind of coming to bridge prep one final time, adjusting that blanket. Stillness or movement here, or if you're ready to come up onto that prop, lifting the hips by pushing to the heels and placing the blanket underneath the hip bones. Again, trying to avoid just filling out the sway of the lower back. And then consider your whole body. Take your hands where it's comfortable. Relax your face, soften your feet. Notice sensation. Right, when you're ready, slowly start to slide that left leg all the way out. Or I apologize, I guess the opposite leg that you did on the other side. And just try to, from the belly button all the way through that left extended leg, soften everything, your glute, your thigh, your knee, your calves. Relax through your feet. And remember, option one, stay like this. Option two, toe heel that opposite leg and foot out and then drop that thigh out. Or option two, hug that thigh in. Whether you grab it or not is up to you, but you can play around with sort of the angle of the hip socket or the joystick if you want to visualize it like that. But for the means of creating a helpful or sustainable shape and sensation in the extended leg front hip flexor. Try not to tense out your shoulders and the tissues at the back of your skull. And we'll take 6 more breaths. Trying to relax through your face, let your low belly fill up as you breathe in, and deflate as you breathe out. Do that one more time. If you've got a leg up, gently release, allow it to come down. If you dropped your thigh out, lift it and slowly walk the foot in. Pushing through your heel to drag that leg up. Stay here if you'd like. You could stay here and lift your legs up to the sky. If you're ready to get off the blanket, feel free to push and lift and just remove it. If you'd like it behind your neck, you could take it behind your neck again. You could take your legs up to the sky without the blanket. You could explore any kind of movement here, but do just that. Invite really subtle movement just to kind of absorb and notice and pay attention. I'm going to hit the lights here in the studio. We're going to take about a minute or two just to do whatever you'd like, and then you'll be finding a place for some stillness for Shavasana. So you could take your legs up the wall. You could do a supine twist. You could roll over onto your belly if you like being prone. Without changing or doing anything in particular, just start to notice your physical body with a kind lens as much as possible. Maybe think about just being an observer of the sensation. There's no right or wrong. If there's any places still holding tension or resistance, just simply trying to offer some ease with your exhales. Maybe taking a moment to thank yourself for showing up this evening and simply trying to do something nice for yourself. And staying exactly where you are for the rest of class, or if you'd like to eventually come to a seat, start with just subtle and tiny movements wherever it makes sense or sort of naturally starts to occur. Without rushing yourself or allowing my words to rush you, just take your time, keep finding any kind of movement you'd like, stretching out, hugging in, shimmy and shake. Maybe even keep your eyes closed as long as you feel comfortable with them that way. If you do come to a seat, let it be as comfortable in your body as possible. Don't overthink alignment or what it looks like. Just visualize the breath sort of lengthening your spine upright as you inhale and softening a bit as you exhale. And take our hands together at our heart. We're going to interlace our fingers. Kind of rotate the heels of your palms forward, opening up the palms, pushing forward. Tuck your chin in and kind of round through your back a little bit. Great. The next time you start to inhale, start to sit upright. Bend at your elbows, pull the fingers towards your chest. Stay here or kind of slide the fingers open, pulling the arm bones back, maybe lifting your chin a little bit. Breathe. One more round in each direction. Slowly exhale, draw those fingers to interlace, tuck your chin, start to push your palms forward, round a little bit through the upper back. Breathe. The next time you inhale, start to sit upright, bend your elbows, fingers towards chest. Kind of stay here, let those fingers separate as you draw the upper arm bones back, a mini back bend. One more inhale here, exhale, palms into your lap. Soften the shoulders out of your ears. Take 3 final breaths. Hands to your heart one more time. Chins a little bit in, honoring your practice. Thanking yourself one more time again, just for simply showing up. I thank you. Thumbs towards your third eye. Deep breath in. Namaste. Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful evening. Take your time. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. Thank you. You can leave your blankets like in a pile. I'll throw them in the wash. Thanks, Dawn.